This video style works really well for entrepreneurs on YouTube. And the best part, it's very easy to make. When I tried this strategy on my client, this is the result that we had. 87.6 thousand views more than usual. Imagine how many opt-ins it brought to his coaching program. Okay, in this video, I'll show you how to make this format step by step so you can make your own successful video like this. Okay, enough rambling. The idea is very simple. You simply share the lessons of your experience. Each lesson has to be clear and straightforward and give viewers some practical tips they can use. You can make this video of any length. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 29 minutes. But you need the right approach. Because if you make this one common mistake that I'll talk about later in the video, this format won't help your business and might even damage your reputation. So let me show you how to do it correctly. To start with the video, of course, we need to craft a high-performing title. I'll give you several frameworks that you can work with, but essentially there are endless ways to describe those lessons that you've got from your experience. A very good example could be that brings millions of views for some channels is X years of experience in the niche in Y minutes. So how to adapt it to your niche? For example, 20 years of Facebook ads experience in 35 minutes. If you do ads, that's gonna be perfect. 15 years of professional photography experience in 40 minutes. That could be good for photographers. 30 years of restaurant management experience in 50 minutes. Or 25 years of digital marketing experience in 45 minutes. 22 years of financial planning experience in 55 minutes. One of the videos like this gained 10 million views for Simon Squibb. And it's not some top of the funnel thing that everybody in the world could watch. This was pure business knowledge for 2 hours straight. And it got 10 million views. So the opportunity is endless with this video type. So the next title that could be very well suitable for this topic is, for example, I'm 44, if you're in your 20s, watch this. If you sell a certain transformation that younger people need to go through, like maybe curing alcoholism, getting in shape, or figuring out finances, then it can work perfectly if your clients are people who need this transformation. An example, I'm 45, young chefs, watch this. And this can apply to basically any profession that you teach. I'm 52, new designers need this. I'm 48, junior devs must watch. I'm 50, first-year agents, watch this. Another twist that you can put on this video is to say how many years you are in the niche. So, for example, the age of somebody may not be the best indicator of their expertise, but if you say, I'm 15 years in the industry, young photographers, watch this, that could be even a better approach to exactly this title. But if you want to share just your life experience and you think that would be a good brand building video, then you can totally use just the age approach to this. Another good title, I did X, here's what I learned. Super simple, right? I renovated 50 houses. Here's what I learned about real estate. I shot 200 wedding videos. Here's what I learned about cinematography. I created 1,000 restaurant recipes. Here's what I learned about menu development. I designed 100 websites. Here's what I learned about UX. I taught 500 online yoga classes. Here's what I learned about virtual coaching. Another tweak to this type of video is niche lessons I wish I knew when I just started the niche. So 7 marketing lessons I wish I knew before starting my first campaign. 5 interior design lessons I wish I knew before renovating my house. 10 Facebook ads lessons that I wish I knew before spending my first $1 million. 8 SEO lessons that I wish I knew before launching my website or before launching 1,000 websites. 12 freelance and lessons that I wish I knew before quitting my 9-to-5. The last type for right now, and then we'll move on to the video structure, is X minutes of my brutally honest niche advice. Examples, 30 minutes of brutally honest marketing advice for small businesses, 45 minutes of brutally honest social media growth tips, 20 minutes of brutally honest freelancing advice for beginners, 25 minutes of brutally honest Facebook ads advice that will save you thousands, and the last one, 60 minutes of brutally honest startup advice that no one tells you. Now, if you just grab a title formula and make any video on this topic, it won't really work. I want to share the most common mistakes that I see that people do with this type of videos and that I actually did too. So when applying these titles, a lot of business owners make them too broad instead of specific. Don't get me wrong, for some niches it may work, but for the majority of business owners, I would really suggest to keep very close to your niche. For example, you could do my brutally honest advice for women, but if you teach women financial literacy, it would make make a lot more sense to create a title that would say, my brutally honest advice for women who want financial freedom or who want something that you can give them. Also, if you are a cold email expert, it's better to say 5 years of cold email advice in 20 minutes instead of saying 5 years of business advice in 20 minutes. Yeah, you can use both of these structures. You can go broad and you can go specific, but you need to understand that if you go broad, you'll get more views, you'll attract more people, but they may not be exactly best fit for your service. Whereas if you go narrower, you may get fewer people, but that would be specifically interested in what you teach them. Now, both of this work, I would still do both of them, I guess, to both attract big masses that would just increase the reach of my channel, and I would do also more narrower topic that would attract people who are already on the fence of deciding whether or not to work with me. So make sure if you use this type of content, use it strategically, knowing exactly what you want to get from that video. Step 2, design a simple, curious thumbnail. The most common thing I see is the photo and a lesson that would be very uncommon that people put next to them. And the lesson that you put on the side can't be just anything you want. It has to have these 4 characteristics. First, it has to contain a lesson that no one expects. For example, on the thumbnail for this video, I plan to put the phrase that says, tell your story. I mean, for some people it may be clear what it means, but for some people it may be unusual and controversial, because we all hear in the marketing space that you should speak to the audience, you should help them, they are the most important. But here I tell your story. And you're like, who would care? I have a B2B offer. I need to solve certain problems. I need to increase the revenue for my clients and blah, blah, blah. But here you see, tell your story. And you're like, should I really? And they click to watch more because I created that curiosity loop. Like, why should I create that story? And also I contradicted their belief. They think they shouldn't tell their story, but they should just help the client with the knowledge they have. And now I contradict the belief saying that you should tell your story. You see what I mean? Let me share some examples with you. If your niche is photography, you can put the text in the thumbnail that says, shoot on auto. You see what it does? People usually say that you need to have some manual tweaks in order to create a perfect photo, but you say, shoot an auto. And that is very controversial to the common belief that people have. Now, fitness thumbnail. Cardio is killing your gains. And a lot of people are like, what? And this is what's gonna make them click. Next, marketing thumbnail. Email is dead. While everybody tells that email is not dead and email is the ultimate tool for developing your business, you can say email is dead. And even if your video is not particularly about how email is not working, you can still refrain that in the video itself that maybe email is not the most crucial thing in marketing. It works, but it's not the most crucial thing. But on the thumbnail, you may say email is dead, and it will contradict a lot of people's beliefs. Personal finance thumbnail, don't save. You see how weird that is? Like, everybody says save, but this says don't save. And people are like, what? Should I not save? And they click on it. Also, if you've noticed, I just said don't save. I contracted the phrase as much as I could. It could be, you shouldn't make savings your priority, but that would be very long and people wouldn't have time to read it. But what's better is to make your text and thumbnail very short, like don't save. The second thing that the thumbnail should have is a short phrase. So instead of saying you shouldn't market, we should say don't market. So it's a shorter phrase of the same meaning basically. For example, instead of saying don't set up your Facebook ads, let AI do the thing, you can say don't target, or you can say don't do ads. That would be way shorter, but it still conveys the meaning and definitely contradicts what the viewer thinks. Also, you need to have a minimal setup in this thumbnail. So it means that you need to minimize the amount of objects that you have on your thumbnail. This actually works for every thumbnail, but especially for these ones, I find that they work the best if you have just 2 objects, ideally you and the text. Sometimes you need more, but you need to make sure that you stick to like the smallest number possible of objects, 3, 4, and that is it. Avoid clutter in the background, avoid clutter near your face, avoid adding your logo, avoid adding different pictures of your past, avoid adding other logos, but sometimes you can actually. Avoid adding different icons that represent, I don't know, money or dresses, like depending on what your niche is, but just try to stick to the minimum objects possible. Also, you need contrast. So I see that these thumbnails work the best if all the objects on them are well seen. So it means that if you have a light text, you need to have a dark background, right? I also see a lot that this thumbnail is used with a photo of the person that's light actually, usually, or it has like shadows and different glows on the face, but the background is most of the time dark because it creates that contrast between you, your face, and the background. Also for these thumbnails, there are different styles that work, and there are the ones that do not. I've spent about an hour of research on these styles, and I want to give you the ones that actually work the best. So the first style is Twitter post. Perfectly for a lot of people, so it's just your photo and an imitation, an emulation, I guess it's the right word for Twitter post. So like as if you wrote this Twitter post and now you're kind of saying something controversial on the post. Then drama, when everything behind is dark, only your face is like with different shadows, with the light source on one side, maybe some glow on the other side. I'll link the video that will help you do that. But ideally, the background is dark and you're lit. That creates the drama style effect. Another style is get what I have. Just show the results you have. Maybe the fact that you made millions of dollars, you can show that. Maybe you helped like thousands of clients. Maybe you have like a lot of leads. You can generate a lot of leads. You can show that. So show what you have, and this works also well. And the last thing that I see work for some people is, I'm not a designer style. It's when you actually don't put a lot of effort in the thumbnail, but you take a photo of yourself in the middle of your action, of your experience. So I don't think that any photo would work here. I think that you should make a photo that would be strategically reflecting what you do on a day-to-day basis to show why you're credible. I think people like psychologically, they scan this, they understand immediately that this is just what you do, this is your experience, and I might believe you because I see you do the actual thing, you know? And in this case, if you choose this style, you know, you don't need any tags, you don't need anything, just a screenshot of you doing something, and preferably in the middle of the section. But I see the ones that work the best is Twitter post and drama style. Then you need to, step 3, create an engaging intro. Start with a short 10-second introduction that would showcase the proof. I say it's working the best when you show why you're credible and why people should listen to you. This immediately grabs attention and builds trust. For example, Sabri Subi in one of these videos immediately stated what he has done, what his agency is doing, and not only he told all that, but he also showed it. This is where you might need some editing, but you can keep editing simple by adding just text for the most important phrases that you want to highlight. You can add some photos of your work, some screenshots maybe of the results of your work, or you can add b-roll that shows you working and you succeeding. You may show b-rolls of talking to clients, etc. So tags, photos, b-rolls, like it's not necessary to add transitions and like the flashiness, but just add the visuals of what you're saying. That would like prove what you're talking about. You can follow this framework to hook the viewers. First, state your unique value. An example, I've worked with thousands of clients generating X million in sales. You can share your timeline. For example, I've been in the industry for over 10 years. Highlight transformation. From struggling to get 1 client a month, I now have a consistent lead flow and I don't have time to get all the sales calls. And make a bold promise of what you're going to talk about in this video. Today, I'm sharing everything I know about X to help you get the Y result. Keep it under 30 seconds, and you don't need to use all these points from the list that I showed. You can use just a couple or several, but please keep it short and move on to the first chapter of the video right after. An example, after helping X clients achieve Y results over Z years, I've learned what really works in industry. I went from humble beginning to impressive result. And today I'm sharing the exact framework that made it possible. These are the lessons that completely changed my business. And your hook is ready. But what goes next? How you should actually present those lessons that you're about to tell people? The first thing I think you should do is to put the lesson on screen. That could be the only editing that your video has, but it is crucial to show people so that they can follow you along reading the lesson that you're sharing. Then tell stories. I really like how Sabri Subi does it in his video. He shares the lesson
to sell something that the market is starving for. When I got started in my entrepreneurial career, started by selling water filters.
Then he shares the story of how he was in point A, how he went to point B.
Everyone in Australia at the time had the perception that it was completely fine to drink the tap water. So I was entering into a market that people were not starving for the product.
And that turning point that changed his belief in something and and led to lesson number whatever.
And so the most pivotal thing above everything when it comes to marketing is market selection.
You can use these 3 steps for your storytelling: problem, turning point, and actionable tip. Another thing that you can use for your lessons is to use examples, metaphors, and analogies. People just sometimes perceive it easier when you repeat things, but not in the dull manner, just repeating what you said before, but in a matter of metaphor. For example, you can compare top of the funnel content with casual dating and middle and bottom of the funnel content with dating for marriage. You can say that sometimes you need casual dating, and maybe casual dating is what, real committed relationships start with. And then you can say that, but if you want to date for marriage, and then you can say that if you want to get real business, you need to create bottom of the funnel content that is actually dating for marriage. You need to choose specifically who you talk to filter the ones who are ready to swipe the credit card. This could be a fun metaphor describing what content you need to film, right? And you can do that too. Step number 5, plan your video quickly. I probably wouldn't even go through the storytelling techniques and metaphors and analogies, but what I would do to make it super quick, I would just list all the lessons that I learned and I would ramble about them just as if I was talking to a colleague. And you may realize that you have another question of how do you actually come up with these lessons? Here's what I would do. I would just think of my point A and my point B and the journey between them. Or if I talk about the results of my clients, I would talk about their point A and their point B and the things that became that link between those points. So what helped you to get to that point? Just brainstorm it for whatever time you have and move on to film it. I suggest recording video with minimal fluff. Yeah, I told that you need to incorporate some storytelling, analogies, but it shouldn't be super long. Try to keep it minimal. If you need help with lighting and setup and how to create a professional image with as little effort as possible, I will link my videos that I created about that somewhere here in the description maybe. Also, you can repurpose your content. That's wonderful. You've created just one piece of content. Then you can go ahead and grab your transcript with ChatGPT for YouTube Chrome extension. Then you can put it into Claude with some nice prompt. Maybe I'll show you mine. And it will give you a newsletter that you can share with your email subscribers, right? You can also cut this whole video into different chunks. There are many tools that do this. I guess Vidyo does this, Captions does this, Opus Pro does this. Recently I've been loving the tool called Firecut, but it's for Premiere Pro, so I'm not sure you can use it. Maybe you can send it to your editor, or you can delegate this whole process of repurposing your content to me. If that's for you, if you want to never worry about content again, to have your strategy, your editing, your thumbnails figured out without you being involved in the process, without you managing a team of content creators, then just book a call in the description. I'll help you with all of that. By the way, fun case study I didn't know where to share, but I guess I would share it here. I have a client who creates shorts or reels for Instagram with their team. And also I cut out reels from their long form videos and they also publish it on their Instagram page. And I compared what performed better. Reels cut from long form edited by us or reels that created from scratch but edited by the client's team. And the results were stunning. Our editing got almost twice as many views as the ones that their team were making. And it required zero effort from the client because these reels were already cut from the long form. So I just wanted to share this win, and I really think that some good editing, some knowing what phrases and what chunks to take from long form video, they make a huge difference. They can even perform better than your average reels. Anyways, that was it. If you're interested in how Iman Gaji makes millions with YouTube, you can go ahead and watch this video right here. I made a very detailed breakdown. I think you'll love it. Goodbye.